June 25, 1941. East of Minsk, Bialystok forest line. The morning air is thick with the smell of wet pine and burning fuel. A narrow dirt road cuts through the trees like a wound, muddy from last night's rain, churned by thousands of German boots and vehicle tracks. The distant thump of artillery rolls across the forest canopy like an approaching storm. Lieutenant Karl Weiss pulls his field cap tighter against the wind as he stands on the hull of his Panzer III Ausf J, scanning the tree line with his Zeiss binoculars. His crew waits inside, nervous, exhausted, but confident. After all, they've spent the last 4 days sweeping aside every machine thrown at them. Old T-26s, sputtering BT-7s, even armored cars barely held together by rust. Nothing so far had survived more than a few shells. But something feels wrong this morning. Too quiet, too still. The forest ahead is breathing, branches shifting, birds scattering, distant engines rumbling with a slow, deliberate rhythm that doesn't fit anything German units know. You can almost feel Karl's pulse quicken as he lowers the binoculars. Behind him, Obergefreiter Dieter Hahn, the radio operator, leans out of the turret hatch. "Another wave of light tanks, sir?" he asks, trying to sound confident. Karl shakes his head. "No. Whatever that is, it's heavy." A column of Wehrmacht infantry trudges past the stalled panzers, men from the 29th Motorized, sweat mixing with dust, rifles slung over shoulders. One of them shouts, "Lieutenant, recon says Soviet armor is moving through the forest. They're trying to break toward Minsk." Karl acknowledges with a nod, but he's still listening, feeling the vibrations through the hull. Then the forest shifts. Not from wind, not from artillery, but from something pushing through it. A massive cracking sound echoes, branches breaking like bones. A flock of crows explodes upward from the tree line. German infantry instinctively lower themselves, rifles raised. One soldier whispers, "Was zum Teufel?" Karl raises his binoculars again, and then he sees it. A shape moves between the trees, broad, angular, unnervingly fast for something so large. At first, it looks like a shadow or a trick of the light, but then sunlight hits the armor, revealing the unmistakable silhouette. A turret set low and wide, a long, lethal 76mm gun, sloped armor glinting like a steel glacier. A tank unlike anything the Germans have ever encountered. Its tracks grind over a fallen tree as if it's nothing more than a twig. Saplings snap against its sides as it pushes forward, emerging into full view, its armor plates angled sharply, deflecting light, just as they will soon deflect German shells. Lieutenant Karl's breath stops. This is not a T-26. This is not a BT-7. This is something entirely new. The name hasn't reached most of the German army yet, but soon every soldier on the Eastern Front will know it intimately and fear it. The T-34 rolls out of the forest, engine roaring like a furnace, its turret swinging toward the German line with cold, mechanical precision. It moves with a confidence no Soviet machine has shown so far. Predatory, purposeful. German infantry scatter for cover. Machine guns open fire, rounds bouncing harmlessly off the angled plates. Someone screams, "Panzer! Get the Panzers forward!" Karl drops into the turret. "Engine ahead! Armor-piercing loaded! Target the turret ring!" His driver, Gefreiter Otto Brandt, slams the gear stick forward, and the Panzer III lurches toward the clearing. Karl's hands tremble, not from fear, but from realization. For the first time since Operation Barbarossa began, the Germans are not the hunters. They are the prey. As the Panzer III bursts from the tree line, Karl finally speaks the words forming in his gut since the moment the shadow appeared. What in God's name have the Soviets built? The T-34's gun stabilizes, aiming directly at him. Everything goes silent.
The T-34's gun locks onto Karl's Panzer III with terrifying certainty. There's no hesitation, no adjustment, no fumbling. Just a smooth, predatory swing of the turret and the cold steel eye of a 76.2mm cannon staring directly into Karl's soul. Inside the cramped turret, the world becomes sound and vibration. The clatter of the engine, the squeal of gears, the trembling breath of the loader, Unteroffizier Emil Kruger, as he forces an armor-piercing round into the breech. Karl braces himself. "Driver, hard right, move, move, move!" Otto slams the steering levers, and the Panzer III jerks, tracks biting into soft mud. They are still accelerating when a thunderous crack tears through the clearing. The T-34 fires. A shockwave ripples across the battlefield. German infantry dive to the ground as the shell blasts a column of dirt skyward just meters behind the Panzer III. The sound hits inside the tank like a hammer, rattling every bolt, every rib. Karl's voice snaps through the intercom. "Gunner, on target, aim for the turret ring." Feldwebel Marcus Adler tightens his jaw and peers through his TZ-F5B sight. Sweat trickles down his forehead as he aligns the crosshair on the giant Soviet machine. "On target," he growls. "Fire!" The Panzer III buckles as the 50mm cannon barks. A flash, a cloud of smoke, a metallic clang. The shell strikes the side of the T-34's turret and simply ricochets upward into the trees. Marcus blinks. Hit. No penetration. Karl freezes. That shot would have torn through any Soviet tank they'd faced before. But this thing shakes it off like rain. Reload. Armor piercing. The next round clatters into the breach. Outside, the T-34 plows forward, crushing underbrush, picking up speed. Its wide tracks grip the mud effortlessly, a terrifying contrast to the Panzer III's struggle to maneuver on the soaked ground. The Soviets weren't supposed to have something like this. Not this early, not here. Machine gun fire rakes its hull, sparks dancing along the sloped plates. A German 37mm anti-tank gun opens up from the road, its crew desperately cranking the breech as they fire shot after shot, each one bouncing like pebbles off a fortress wall. The T-34 doesn't even turn towards them. It just keeps advancing. Karl's throat tightens. This isn't possible. Then the T-34 fires again. This time, the shell slams into a Panzer III farther down the line. The tank erupts in flame, its turret popping up slightly as internal ammunition cooks off. The explosion shakes the forest, sending birds scattering again. Karl forces himself to stay focused. "Gunner, try the lower hull. Aim for the maintenance ports." Marcus adjusts the elevation, counting his breathing, trying to steady the sight despite the trembling ground. Firing. The tank recoils. Another hit, another spark, another meaningless clang. The T-34 turns its turret, slowly, deliberately, towards them. Inside the Panzer III, everyone goes silent. Even the engine seems to hold its breath. Dieter's voice cracks over the intercom. "Lieutenant, it's coming straight for us." The T-34 revs louder. Smoke billowing from its exhaust ports, the entire machine surging forward like a bull lowering its horns. Karl's heart slams against his ribs. "Driver, reverse, now!" Otto throws the gearbox into reverse, and the Panzer III lurches backwards, but the mud drags at their tracks, slowing their retreat. The Soviet tank picks up speed. Faster. Closer. Its guns steady. Its armor invincible. This is the first moment the Germans truly understand that the Eastern Front is not the easy victory Berlin promised. The T-34 barrels towards them like a steel avalanche. And Karl realizes something he will remember for the rest of his life. They are completely outmatched.
The forest explodes with noise as the T-34 charges, its engine roaring like a wounded dragon. The ground trembles under its weight. In the Panzer III, Karl grips the hatch ring so tightly his knuckles turn white. "Reverse, Otto, full throttle. I am at full throttle." The Panzer III groans, treads slipping in the mud. The rain from last night has turned the clearing into a trap, one the T-34 plows through effortlessly, while the German tank claws for traction like a cornered animal. "Gunner," Karl shouts, leaning into the turret. "Load HE, we'll try to blind the bastard." Kruger jams a high explosive round into the breech, his hands shaking. Marcus swings the cannon and fires. The HE shell bursts near the T-34's vision slits, splattering mud and smoke across the glacis plate. For a moment, just a moment, the Soviet tank hesitates. "Again!" Karl yells. Another round slams into the T-34's hull, kicking up a cloud of dirt and debris. The beast staggers, but only slightly. Then, it roars back to life and lunges forward. It's close now. Too close. Its turret looms above them like a steel cliff. The bow machine gun spits fire, cutting down German infantry scrambling for cover. Men dive behind tree stumps, trucks, anything, bullets carving the air around them. A nearby Pak-36 anti-tank gun crew desperately loads another door knocker round. The diminutive 37mm gun fires. Ping! The shell ricochets off the T-34's sloped front armor, whining away into the trees. The Soviet tank doesn't even acknowledge the hit. It simply drives over the Pak gun, crushing it flat along with two of its crew. Inside the Panzer III, the shockwave rattles their bones. Karl swears under his breath, "Mother of, this thing's a monster!" Then the T-34 does something no one expects. It ramming charges. Not firing, not maneuvering, just pure brute force. Its massive hull slams into the Panzer III's front left corner with a horrific grinding crunch. Metal bends, weld seams pop, and Karl is thrown against the turret wall. Marcus's forehead smashes into the gun sight, blood running down his face. The Panzer III spins sideways, nearly lifting onto one track as it's shoved through the mud. The T-34 withdraws, engine revving, and rams again. The entire German crew screams over the intercom as the tank groans and the suspension screams in protest. Otto cries out, "I can't move her, steering's jammed." Dieter pulls himself up from the radio set, dazed. "Radio's dead, antenna too." The T-34 backs up a second time, preparing for another slam, this one fatal. Karl knows they have seconds. "Marcus, fire point blank, shoot into the driver's hatch." The gunner wipes blood from his eye, steadies the sight, and fires. The 50mm round slams into the T-34's front plate, directly above the driver position. A shower of sparks, a flash of flame, but the armor holds. The Soviet driver doesn't even slow down. The T-34 roars forward. Karl's voice cracks. "Bail out, now!" He kicks the hatch open and scrambles onto the hull as the world narrows to adrenaline and terror. Crewmen spill out behind him, boots slipping on mud-slick armor. They jump. The T-34 plows into the Panzer III with catastrophic force. The German tank flips onto its side with a tortured scream of metal, its treads spinning helplessly in the air like the legs of an overturned beetle. Karl hits the ground hard, his breath knocked out of him. He rolls behind a fallen tree as the T-34 grinds straight through his destroyed machine, crushing it as easily as it crushed the Pak gun. His crew crawls toward him, coughing, stumbling, alive only by seconds. Behind them, the German line is collapsing, infantry running, officers screaming orders no one hears, trucks spinning around on the muddy road. The T-34 turns left, then right, searching for its next kill. Its engine bellows. Its armor gleams savagely under the rising sun, and Karl realizes something chilling as he watches the steel beast carve its way through the forest road. Germany has started a war it doesn't understand, and the Soviets have just shown their trump card.
Smoke coils through the trees as Karl drags himself behind a moss-covered stump, chest burning with every breath. His uniform is soaked, mud, sweat, maybe blood. He can't tell. Around him, shattered branches and scorched earth mark the path of the T-34's rampage. The forest that just hours ago felt quiet and watchful is now a roaring, living battlefield. Otto staggers beside him, coughing violently. Marcus limps forward, one hand pressed against the gash on his forehead. Kruger collapses to a knee, sucking air as if he's drowning. Karl forces himself up on trembling legs. "We need to regroup with the infantry. Move!" But before they can take even 2 steps, another blast shakes the ground. A second T-34 bursts through the tree line to the south, its turret already swinging toward the main German column on the forest road. Karl's stomach drops. There's more than one. A third engine growls deeper in the woods. The sound of snapping timber rolls toward them like falling giants. German infantry scatter, shouting conflicting reports. "Armored breakthrough! There are dozens of them! Get the 88s up front! Get the 88s!" An officer with a map clutched in his fist stumbles past Karl, panic clear in his eyes. "They weren't supposed to have armor here! Not this much!" Karl wants to answer, but a deafening crack silences everything. The first T-34 opens fire again, blasting a half-track in the road. The vehicle erupts like a struck match, flipping over as German troops dive for cover. The air fills with the shriek of ricochets, the rumble of engines, the terrified cries of men suddenly realizing their rifles and MG-34s are nothing against the Soviet steel monsters. Karl grabs Otto by the arm. "To the ditch! Move!" The 4 men throw themselves into a roadside drainage trench as the second T-34 trundles onto the road, crushing crates, helmets, and abandoned gear beneath its tracks. Its crew hatch pops open for a moment. A Soviet tanker with soot-blackened goggles shouts something to another T-34, raising his arm. Then he drops back into the turret, and the hatch slams shut. The Soviets aren't just attacking, they're coordinating. Karl's pulse spikes. That means this isn't an isolated counterattack. This is part of something bigger, a planned armored thrust along the Minsk corridor. The German infantry try to hold the line, firing rifles and machine guns at the advancing tanks. Rounds spark harmlessly off angled armor. A mortar team launches bombs that burst uselessly against the T-34's hull. Then the third T-34 emerges from the gloom of the forest, straight behind a German supply convoy caught on the road. Horses rear, trucks jackknife, and soldiers scramble to unhitch equipment before it's crushed. Chaos becomes total. Karl's voice cracks as he shouts over the cacophony. "Where are the heavy guns? Where are the 88s? Dieter, face pale, stammers. They were supposed to be 10 kilometers behind us. Then God help us." The first T-34 turns its turret again, toward the German ditch line. A single shell could wipe them out. Karl sees it move, slow, deliberate, like a giant choosing a victim. He presses himself into the mud, heart slamming against the ground. The cannon fires. The blast obliterates the forest floor 20 meters to their left, uprooting a fir tree and showering them with splinters and dirt. Otto screams and covers his head as branches rain down around them. Karl's ears ring. For a moment, he hears nothing but muffled chaos, shouts, explosions, cracking wood. Then, cutting through the haze, comes a different sound. A deep, mechanical clatter. Heavy, familiar. Karl turns. Down the road, behind the smoke, a new silhouette appears. The long barrel, the big shield, the unmistakable frame of Germany's most feared anti-tank weapon. An 88mm flak gun, dragged forward at full speed by an SDKF-7 tractor, its crew already jumping off before the vehicle even stops. Karl feels a spark of hope, a fragile one, but real. Marcus wipes the blood from his face and whispers, "Maybe now. Maybe we can stop them." The 88 crew races to unlimber the gun, pounding stakes into the mud, swinging the massive barrel toward the clearing. The Soviets notice. They begin to fan out, their turrets swing like watchful predators.
Carl looks up from the ditch. Everything depends on the next 30 seconds.
The 88mm crew works with frantic precision, boots slamming into the mud, gloved hands wrestling with steel, breath fogging in the cold morning air. Every man knows what's coming for them. Every man knows they might have only one shot. Get that barrel down. Ammo, bring up ammo. Rangefinder, now, now, now! The huge gun screeches as it pivots, its barrel lowering toward the advancing T-34s. The crew chief, Feldwebel Reinhardt, waves his arms like a conductor, orchestrating a desperate symphony. Carl drags himself onto one knee in the ditch, eyes locked on the gun. This is the only thing in the entire forest that can kill a T-34 from the front. A German machine gun crew opens fire nearby, tracers slicing through the haze as they try to distract the Soviet tanks. The rounds ping uselessly off the armor, but they buy a few precious seconds. The first T-34 halts, turret tightening its aim on the 88 like a predator recognizing a real threat. Carl's breath stops. "Reinhardt, fire!" someone screams. Two loaders shove the first massive shell into the breach. Up! The gun levels. Fire! The 88mm barks. The blast hits the forest like thunder, echoing between the trees, shaking the earth. The shell streaks across the clearing and slams into the T-34's front armor. For the first time, the Soviet tank jerks backward. A black crater blooms on its glacis plate. Penetration. Carl screams, "Yes!" Flames burst from the T-34's driver's hatch. The tank halts, smoke pumping out of its engine deck. A second later, the ammunition cooks off, blowing the turret upward in a geyser of fire and debris. The crew in the ditch shield their faces from flying metal. But the victory lasts only a heartbeat. The second T-34 begins to advance again, accelerating, ignoring the burning wreck of its comrade. Its turret snaps toward the 88mm crew. Reinhardt knows he has no time. "Load! Load faster!" The loaders ram another shell into the breach, but the T-34 fires first. Boom! The shell rips through the air and slams into the ground beside the 88, detonating with bone-crushing force. Men are thrown backward like rag dolls, some screaming, some silent. The gun is still standing, but half the crew is down. Carl jumps out of the ditch without thinking. "Help them! Go!" His crew follows, Otto limping, Marcus clutching his head wound, Kruger dragging Dieter by his equipment straps. They sprint toward the 88, weaving through debris and craters. Reinhardt pulls himself to his feet, blood running down his cheek. "You! Help load!" Carl nods, adrenaline surging. He and Marcus grab a shell from the crate, its weight staggering, almost too heavy to lift in their exhausted state. Behind them, the third T-34 bursts from the trees, turret rotating toward the road. Dieter shouts, "3 of them! 3!" Reinhardt points at the loaders. "Hard left tank first. Aim for the lower hull." The gunner swings the barrel, breath shallow, eyes burning from smoke. The second T-34 accelerates again, pushing through fallen trees, gaining speed for a ramming charge just like before. Carl feels his skin prickle. This one is coming straight for the 88. "Fire!" Reinhardt roars. The 88mm unleashes hell. The shell hits the second T-34 just beneath the turret ring. Penetration. A spray of molten metal spits from the exit wound. The Soviet machine jolts, wheels turning stiffly. Then it slumps forward, engine dying, smoke belching out of the ruptured hull. Carl gasps for air, but the third T-34 is already lining up its shot. Reinhardt screams, "Down! Down!" The crew dives as the third T-34 fires. The Soviet shell rips clean through the 88 shield, blowing the gunner backward in a shower of blood and shrapnel. The blast kicks Reinhardt into the mud. Smoke swirls around the destroyed firing position. Carl pushes himself up, ears ringing, vision swimming. He turns. The last T-34 is still moving, still hunting, its gun swinging toward the ditch, toward the burning wrecks, toward them. The Germans have one last weapon,
One last hope. Reinhardt coughs, blood dripping from his mouth. He points, barely able to lift his arm. "Help me. Get the gun up. One more shell, just one." Karl looks at Marcus. Marcus looks at Otto. All three nod, dead tired, terrified, but unwilling to run. Together, they grab the shell crate and shoulder its crushing weight. The T-34 barrels toward them, engine roaring, its cannon slowly lowering for the kill. Karl doesn't know if they can do it in time, but he knows they have to try.
The last T-34 charges through the smoke like a metal titan, turret lowering as it prepares to finish off the crippled 88mm gun. Its tracks chew apart the muddy forest floor, throwing clumps of earth high into the air. The ground itself seems to recoil beneath its weight. Karl, Marcus, Otto, and Kruger stumble toward the gun, half carrying, half dragging the last 88mm shell. It's so heavy, it feels like someone poured lead into their bones. Their boots slip in the mud, their breaths come in desperate, ragged gasps. Reinhardt, on his knees, grabs the gun trail and tries to realign the barrel. His hands tremble from shock and blood loss, but he grits his teeth and heaves with everything he has. "Faster!" he croaks. "Faster, damn you!" Behind them, the T-34 shifts gears with a mechanical growl, gaining speed. Its gun points directly at the 88. The Soviets know exactly which weapon can kill them, and they're going to erase it before a final shot can be fired. The German line behind them has collapsed into chaos. Infantry scattered across the tree line, trucks burning, officers shouting over the roar of engines. A few machine guns still spit tracers at the T-34, but the Soviet tank ignores them like gnats. Karl feels his legs nearly buckle as they reach the breach. "Get it in! Get it in!" Marcus and Kruger ram the massive shell into the breach with every ounce of strength left in their battered bodies. It clanks home. Reinhardt slams the breach shut. "Gunner!" he yells, but then remembers the gunner's body lying motionless beside the wheel. Karl doesn't hesitate. He throws himself onto the gunner's seat, wiping soot and blood from the shattered sight. His hands shake violently, but he grips the elevation wheel and forces the crosshair onto the charging T-34. The Soviet tank fires. Karl barely ducks as the shell screams overhead, detonating behind them in a fireball that sends a shockwave across the clearing. The concussion knocks Marcus flat and sends dirt cascading over the gun crew. But the 88 somehow remains standing. Barely. Karl shouts, "Reinhardt, elevation steady. I need 5 degrees left." Reinhardt staggers to his feet and braces his shoulder against the gun trail, pushing with everything he has. "Left! Left! Hold!" The T-34 is close now, terrifyingly close. Its engine roars like a furnace. Its bow machine gun spits fire across the 88's position, bullets smashing into crates and ricocheting off steel. Otto cries out as a round grazes his arm, but he keeps his hand on the loading rail, steadying Karl's movements. Karl lines up the shot. His heartbeat thunders in his ears. The T-34 hits 50 meters, 40, 30. It's coming straight for them. A battering ram made of steel and Soviet fury. Karl exhales slowly, steadying the crosshair on the exact spot Reinhardt taught, the lower front plate where even the T-34's armor showed weakness. He mutters, "For us, and for everyone behind us." Reinhardt screams, "Fire!" Karl pulls the trigger. The 88mm roars like a god's hammer. The recoil slams into Karl's shoulder, nearly throwing him from the seat. The blast blinds him for a heartbeat. And then, a deafening metallic crack. A burst of flame, a plume of black smoke punching upward like a volcanic eruption. The shell hits the T-34 dead center. Its front plate caves inward. Fire gouts from the seams. The tank jerks to a stop, engine howling in agony. Flames spiral from the hatches as ammunition ignites. The beast trembles, then collapses sideways, a dying monster sinking into the mud. For one moment, just one moment, everything falls silent. Carl feels his arms go limp. He slides off the gunner's seat and collapses beside the wheel, chest heaving, ears ringing, vision blurred. Reinhardt leans against the gun shield, face ashen, blood dripping from his chin, but a shaky smile forming. "We stopped it," he whispers. Otto sinks to the ground, clutching his arm. Marcus drops to his knees, staring at the burning T-34 with disbelief. Kruger presses his back to a tree, hands shaking violently. Carl forces himself upright enough to look across the battlefield. 3 burning T-34s lie scattered across the clearing, charred metal hulks that had just minutes before threatened to rip the German line apart. But the victory is hollow. The forest still echoes with distant engines, Soviet engines, more than they can count. The Germans have won a single fight, not the war. Carl wipes the blood from his forehead and murmurs to himself, "If this is what the Soviets are fielding now, what comes next?" He doesn't have to wait long to find out. A distant rumble, heavy, ominous, rolls through the trees. Not one engine, not 3, but dozens. The sound of a Soviet armored brigade advancing on Minsk. Carl's face pales. The T-34 they just destroyed wasn't the main force. It was only the spear point.